Welcome in, guys, to Keep Fantasy Great podcast, episode 2. Power Rankings special, episode 1 for that. So today, I'm going to break down your power rankings, starting with number 10, going all the way to our number 1 spot. We got a treat for you in store. Today, power rankings. Tomorrow, we got the episode with Bartis and I, where we will break down what just happened in week 1, and we'll look ahead to the matchups and what's in store for week 2. Now, without further ado, let's kick things off here with
number 10.
Cactus. Things could not have started worse and have ended worse for Cactus here in week 1. Before the week even started, you have Kenneth Walker out, George Kittle out. Now you're tight endless. Now, a depth piece running back is also out. You add in an injury to Elijah Mitchell in the 1 o'clock slate, out. You add in an injury from Dak Prescott in the Sunday Night Football game, out 6 to 8 weeks. Now Cactus is tight endless, and keep in mind CeeDee Lamb was on his team. He went for that stack. The stack already was off to an awful start, putting up a combined 9-10 points. Now it gets an even worse go ahead as CeeDee Lamb has to deal with Cooper Rush. The depth on this team, a couple of rookies that haven't really shown out yet. I'm not sure if it has the pieces right now to pick things up, and it's looking like a rough start for How I Met Metcalf Your Mother. Not much to talk about with Cactus here, as he didn't really show us much in week 1, but he's in for a rough start if he can't scrap together some good waiver wire pickups here.
Number 9.
Keep things going. We got Shijin, another former champ with a rough start to the year. Kyler Murray was fine. Joe Mixon was good. He did his thing. Waddle, had a nice 40, 50-yard touchdown, whatever it may be. Take that away, it's a rough week. I think Christian Kirk was really good. Kamara dealing with an injury. Higgins was out. Pitts was rough. He started Tony, and Tony played like 3 snaps. I mean, when he caught the ball, impressive, but the bench here with a bunch of guys that Shijin doesn't know. You still have Hopkins out 6 to 8 weeks. You got guys like Robert Woods, Algier, Treylon Burks, Jalen Tolbert, who didn't even play, and Isaiah McKenzie. I mean, the bench is rough. For a Shijin team, it's kind of classic to have no depth, but you kind of need it with the injuries that have already started to happen for Shijin. And he and Cactus are already looking at a rough start with 2 former champs kind of going down with the injuries and not being able to reduce in week 1. You don't see any signs of hope just yet. We won't give up, but a rough start for former champs here in week 1.
Number 8.
We got Stevie. Stevie took a tough loss here on Monday night, just squeaking that one out. No, he lost by 12. Never mind. It was close, but Judy popped off. Steve here at number 8. Again, not a lot to write home about. I mean, could not have started off any better for Steve. 26 points from Diggs on Thursday night and 0 from Akers, but still couldn't get it done. Joe Burrow threw 5 picks, but still had 26 fantasy points. So that's a good sign for him. He's gonna be throwing it. Derrick Henry, rough, but he'll be fine. I think just a matchup thing. And Derrick Henry last year, week 1, also wasn't good, and then popped off for 8 straight weeks. So I think Derrick Henry will be fine. A lot of cause for concern in the tight end room, but that seems to be a trend. Again, the running backs outside of Derrick, none of the running backs showed up. Cordero on the bench, who I think could be a good play moving forward for Stevie. But outside of that, he spent his next 4 of his first 5 picks on running backs, and not a single one scored more than 8.3. You're going to struggle if 4 out of your first 5 picks can't score more than 8.3. You're not going to win very much. Outside of Derrick Henry, though, Montgomery was okay. I'll give you a pass on anyone in the Bears-Niners game just for the rain. But you got Zeke, who struggled and now is without Dak. You got Josh Jacobs, who, that offense is Carter, Devontae, and no one else can see the ball. Michael Thomas looked good. Diggs looked good. Burrow looked good. But other than that, a rough week for the running back room here at Steve's team, and he spent a lot of draft capital to get these guys. You got to hope that they could produce moving forward, or else it could be another another year for Stevie.
Number 7.
Emmett. So, our lowest winner out here, down in the 7th spot. I think Emmett's team looks good in some aspects, but you have your cause for concern why we have him at 7. I think a good Monday night for him has a nice positive outlook for the next week. Judy did great. Chase was amazing. Lamar Jackson was great. But that's kind of where you hit that cliff of that fall off. Najee was battling injuries and just did not look good in his carries. And then was out for the back half of that game. Some cause for concern moving forward. Cam Akers, we know what happened there on Thursday night. Saw the ball 3 times, 0 yards, barely played. So the injury probably still looming there. ETN was outsnapped and outplayed by James Robinson, but luckily for Emmett, he has James Robinson. But again, if they're going to split times, it could be an ETN game one week, could be a Robinson game the other week. I think Bateman, without that long touchdown, had about 1 point. Devontae Smith didn't catch a pass. Trey Lance, we'll give him a pass. A lot of young gunners on this team, so there will be some rough weeks for Emmett. Good thing to pull off a win in week 1, get you a little confidence moving forward. I think Emmett's team could battle here. A lot of young guys, but that's scary because it's could be a lot of, you could have your hype with your Jamar Chase and your Jerry Jeudy's. You could also have your lows with your Cam Akers plays. But you hope with the young guys as things go forward, they get more time, they get more snaps, that it could get better for Emmett from here on out.
Number 6.
Yeah, Greg. The former champ comes in at number 6. A tough loss week 1. Not a lot to write home about, but not a lot of things I'm really worried about here. I think Jalen Hurts played great, and if it wasn't for 3 handoffs to running backs inside 5, Jalen Hurts probably puts up a 40 bomb and things are a little different. Eckler wasn't really used much. He didn't get going. Keenan Allen injury is a little scary for Greg here. Renfro not being used much. I look at this team and now I'm a little like, why didn't I flip him? But I think I didn't flip him because I think Eckler will pick it up. I think James Conner was good. I think Debo just didn't get a lot of usage. It was a rain game. It was a weird game again. I like just throwing that game completely out the window. I can't even, you look at the field conditions, you look at the conditions in that game, and you think you really can't hold anyone against them for how they played in that fantasy. That is just not ideal for anyone. I think they get Debo more involved moving forward, especially with Elijah Mitchell out. I feel like that only increases Debo, especially his usage in the backfield and getting him the ball. I think it's going to be tough with Waller Renfro because not only do you have two passing options on the same team, you got the number 2 and the number 3. It's not like you got the number 1 and number 2 and number 1 and number 3. You have the number 2 and 3 options on that team. On a team with Derek Carr as a quarterback, probably can see sitting Renfro from here on out. Kareem Hunt shows some signs that he's startable. Other than that, kind of lacks some depth here. Probably some good pickups this week for G Money, as I don't think he'll need to hold on to Derek Carr with the way Jalen Hurts played, but I think this team can only really get better from here. I think he kind of saw everyone at their floor rather than anyone, no ceiling plays here, a lot of floor plays this week. I think things will be fine for G Money. He'll figure it out mid-season like he usually does.
Number 5
is yours truly. I got myself here at number 5. Respectable. I am the highest of the losers, and I think we all know why. Put up the most points for a losing team, and also, unfortunately, was the 4th highest scorer this week. I'll tell you from my own self, I'm completely confident in my team and what I saw. I think, you got 2 duds and a lot of studs. So I think this team has a lot of potential moving forward, some decent depth on the bench. A tough week 1, but I fully expect bounce backs moving forward with this team. I think I got some good pieces. You got A.J. Brown and Devontae Adams who are hyper-targeted like crazy, which is only good for me. And then I think the running back room did fine. I said, a couple duds and a big tight end worry. But again, I'm in the favor of throwing that game out the window with Cole Kmet in Chicago. Doesn't look like anyone could really get anything going. Couldn't get your foot in the ground. Enough about myself.
Number 4.
You got Barrera. I almost had myself 4. Swapped with Barrera, a little bit more respect for the winners, and I like Barrera's running back room. I think DeAndre Swift did great things, Leonard Fournette did great things, and the Bucs only scored 19 points. It's not going to happen all year. He'll get in the end zone. Gabe Davis looked good. Brandon Cooks looked good. Again, wide receiver room here, very scary. But I think Javante's snaps are only going up after what we just saw Monday night, and he was a fumble away from 6 extra points. The running back room's great though. Just needs a quarterback, but Kirk Cousins is serviceable for sure. But the running back room really good here. He's in the chat every day talking about how he wants more running backs, and I think there'll be a trade somewhere along the line where he can move some of these running backs, especially with all the injuries to running backs on other teams. I think Barrera will be able to move those running backs for a real wide receiver 1 in the near future. Wink, wink. But no, Barrera, he did his thing. He bouncing right back off the championship loss and getting right into form.
Number 3.
We got Bardis. Bardis beat me this week, and Bardis is actually the only one without a tight end problem. Drafting 2 tight ends seems to be the move this year because every tight end outside of his 2 sucked. Kelsey put up a 30 bomb. And other than that, everyone sucked. So, outside of that, John Taylor was Jonathan Taylor. So Bardis will be in contention every week when you have the running back 1 and the quarterback 1 and the tight end 1. I think that's what he did, and he knew that, and he took a hit. Wide receiver room, really, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the only one to write home about. Again, I'll give Mooney a pass. Moonbear, we love Moonbear. No cause for concern on Moonbear just yet. DJ Moore, a little cause for concern because Baker had to throw, and it wasn't to DJ Moore. But you take the hit at wide receiver when you have the running back 1, QB 1, tight end 1, and I guess tight end 2. Team's going to compete when you have, the top players in those spots. He'll battle and he'll be up there. Probably could use, an extra wide receiver or hope Mooney or Moore show up in the future. But again, solid, good week from Bardis. Nothing to complain about just yet.
Number 2.
We got Country. Country Breakfast comes in at number 2. And you like what you saw out of Country's team. He went wide receiver heavy, and half of it paid off. Justin Jefferson looked phenomenal. Pittman looked phenomenal. Trading up for Barkley looks like a genius move. If he can get Saquon Barkley that we saw, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, his rookie year, second year, this team will be dangerous. A.J. Dillon looks like the running back 1 in Green Bay, and Miles Sanders even looked pretty good. The only cause in Miles Sanders' area is that they play the Lions, and the Lions have the worst run defense, and a lot of flip-flopping with Scott and Gainwell. Miles Sanders was the first one to get in, which I think is more telling. Some bad weeks from Mike Williams and something was okay, but he went wide receiver heavy. It paid off. Running backs look good. Josh's team looks really good, and he looks like he's poised to make another run.
Number 1.
We'll go with the preseason number 1. I gave a little credit there because Bardis ranked Drew number 1 in the preseason. I'll keep him number 1 because he proved he could be number 1. Not a single player on this team was in single digits in week 1, which I think was huge. The sleeper of it all, probably Brian Robinson getting shot because now Gibson gets to play a lot, and Gibson's really good when he gets to play. I think a little scary with the Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon thing, but again, the Packers only scored 7 points, and I don't see that happening, especially if it's Bears this week. Pat Mahomes was amazing. Cooper Kupp only gets targeted from Matt Stafford. I think it was a good week from Drew, especially when you don't have a single digit player in your lineup. I think there's some decent depth here. A lot of Jets players, which is a little concerning, but no, Drew dominated. your 1 and 2s right there, 160 plus in week 1 is something to be happy about. Usually that does mean a swing into week 2. But we get a few 1-0 matchups coming up this week. So that's going to round it out for our power rankings. We got at 10, we got Cactus. At 9, we got Shijin. At 8, we got Steve. 7, Emmett. 6, Greg. 5, me. 4, Barrera. 3, Bartis. 2, Josh. Drew 1. Let me know what you think. Bartis, you'll let me know what you think. Tomorrow we'll break down what just happened. We'll look forward to next week. Maybe we'll do a little power rankings review. Other than that, hope you enjoyed. Until next time.